Welcome back to English That Works. You've heard of the Ielts. You might be taking it soon, and you're probably wondering if 6 weeks is enough time to actually prepare.
I'm Claire, and I see this all the time with people studying for Ielts. They drill vocabulary, they memorize essay structures, and then they sit down for the test and just freeze. It's like everything disappears.
David here. I've watched people cram for 3 months and fail. I've also seen people study smart for 4 weeks and crush it.
Most people treat Ielts like it's this impossible monster. They focus on the score. They don't focus on what actually moves the needle.
Right. And that's the gap. Like, someone studies grammar rules for 2 hours. Then they sit down to write an essay and freeze. Totally different skill.
Exactly. The Ielts tests 4 things: reading, writing, listening, speaking. Most people only study 1 or 2 of them properly.
So they get to the test and realize they've got no strategy for speaking, or they blank on the listening section halfway through.
And here's the thing. Even if you're great at reading and writing, if you freeze during speaking, that drags your whole score down.
Band scores are a combination. You need to be okay at all 4, not amazing at 2 and terrible at 2.
Let's start with reading, because that's where people think the problem is. Most people think they're bad at reading. They're actually bad at reading fast.
There's a huge difference. You can understand every word on the page. You just need to understand it in 2 minutes instead of 15.
The trick is you don't read for meaning first. You scan for information, find the paragraph with the answer, then read that paragraph carefully.
So you're being strategic instead of just reading word by word. That's the whole game. You're not trying to understand everything.
For Ielts reading, you've got 3 passages. 40 minutes total. You need to manage time like you're solving a puzzle, not reading a novel.
Most people spend 20 minutes on the first text. Then they're rushing the last 2 and making careless mistakes.
Better to spend 13 to 15 minutes on each one. Do all 3 texts. Get 70% right on each instead of trying to ace one.
That's the strategy shift, not perfectionism. Get consistent marks across all 3 texts. That beats trying to ace one passage and bombing the other 2.
You can even skip a few questions if time is running out. Better to attempt all passages than to ace passage 1 and miss passage 3 entirely.
Right. Some questions are worth less strategically. If you see a hard question, you can come back. But don't get stuck and miss easier questions later.
People also panic about vocabulary. They see a word they don't know and think the whole sentence is lost. But context is your friend.
You can skip that word. Read around it. Usually, the meaning becomes clear from the sentences before and after. You don't need every single word.
And here's something people don't do enough. Practice with real past papers, not random texts. The official Ielts uses specific language patterns and topics.
You learn what words actually appear in Ielts. You learn the topics. Academic texts about science, history, technology. You can prepare mentally.
Plus, you get familiar with the format. True, false, not given versus just true or false. Matching headings. Fill in the blanks. Each type needs a different approach.
True, false, not given means you need to read carefully for nuance. That's a specific skill. Matching headings requires you to understand main ideas quickly.
Fill in the blanks requires you to predict grammar and vocabulary. Multiple choice is about understanding the writer's intention, not just facts.
So different question types train different skills. If you only practice one type, you'll freeze when you see a type you haven't trained for.
That's why doing past papers is so important. You see all the question types. You practice under time pressure. You learn the patterns.
And when you finish a past paper, review your mistakes. Why did you get that wrong? Comprehension, time management, vocabulary. Know your pattern. Writing is where people lose points they don't need to lose. Not because they can't write, because they don't follow the format.
Task 1 is a letter or a diagram. If it's a letter, there's a structure. Dear Sir or Madam. Introduction, body paragraphs, closing.
If you skip this structure, you lose marks immediately. Examiners expect to see these components.
Diagrams are the same. You describe what you see. Introduction, saying what the diagram shows. Then detailed description. Conclusion.
People try to sound fancy instead of following the format. They use complicated words and forget to actually describe the diagram. Format matters more.
Task 1 should be 150 words minimum. 180 is better. 200 is the sweet spot. You can't score well with 90 words.
But people think more words means better. Not true. More relevant words. You hit 200 by describing thoroughly, not by repeating yourself.
Use linking words. For example, firstly, secondly, also, in addition, furthermore. These show you can connect ideas.
Be direct. Describe what you see. Don't add opinions or analysis, just facts about the diagram or letter request.
And practice task 1 specifically. Do diagrams, do letters, get comfortable with both. They need different approaches.
Task 2 is an essay. 250 words minimum, ideally 300. This is where people struggle because they don't plan.
They just start writing, get halfway through, realize they don't have enough material, end up rambling or going off topic. 5 minutes of planning saves 10 minutes of writing.
The structure is simple. Introduction with your position. 3 body paragraphs with 1 idea each. 1 paragraph, 1 idea, not 3 ideas crammed in one.
Then, a conclusion that summarizes your position. People think that's boring, but examiners want to see if you can organize your thoughts clearly.
And each paragraph needs an example, not just your opinion. Your opinion plus a real or realistic example. That's the difference between Band 6 and 7.
Like, if you're arguing that smartphones hurt education, don't just say it. Give an example. Students distracted in class. Studies show attention spans dropped. Specific.
The introduction is crucial. You need to rephrase the question in your own words. Then state your position. 1 or 2 sentences.
Don't memorize introductions. That sounds fake. Just understand the structure. Paraphrase the question. State your position. Done.
Your conclusion should remind the reader of your position. You can add a prediction or broader comment. But don't introduce new ideas.
And use connectors between paragraphs. Because however, therefore, although, despite, in addition, furthermore. These show you can link ideas.
Practice planning. Spend 2 minutes planning, 30 minutes writing. That ratio helps. Your essay will be more organized.
And practice writing timed essays. Full 40 minutes. Then review them. That's how you improve your writing score.
Grammar matters, but not like people think. You don't need perfect grammar. You need controlled grammar. Varied sentences. Some complex, some simple.
If every sentence is simple, you look like a beginner. If every sentence is complex, you make mistakes. Mix it up naturally.
And avoid repeating the same words. Use synonyms. If you said problem in the introduction, say issue or challenge in the body.
Same with verbs. Don't use think 5 times. Use consider, believe, argue, maintain, suggest. Different verb choices show vocabulary range.
Don't try to sound fancy. Use words you actually know. If you use a fancy word wrong, you lose more points than if you use simple words right.
And check your work. Reading time is built in. Use those minutes to check spelling, grammar, word order. Mistakes cost points.
Spell check 2. British versus American English. Ielts is usually British. Color, not color. Organize, not organize.
Pick one and stick with it. Don't mix British and American throughout your essay.
Listening is what actually scares people because you can't go back. You hear it once. That's it. But the strategy is simple and learnable.
People blame their ears. Really, it's their focus. They're tired, or distracted thinking about the previous question, or stressed because they missed an answer.
The game changer is preview. You get time before the recording starts. Read every question. You know exactly what you're listening for.
You're not listening and wondering. You're listening and finding. Active listening. You've got a target. The answers jump out.
And take notes as you listen. Don't try to remember everything. Write down keywords, names, numbers, places. That's your safety net.
People think they're bad at listening when really they're bad at note-taking. You focus on writing, miss the next part. Balance is key.
Write abbreviations. Use symbols. Shorten words. You don't have time to write full sentences.
And after the recording, you get time to transfer your answers. Use that time, check your spelling, make sure your answers are correct.
Also, before listening, think about what you're listening for. A name, a number, a place. This helps your brain focus.
And don't panic if you miss something. Move on. Don't dwell. There are more questions coming.
Listening is learnable. You can improve significantly with the right strategy and daily practice.
There are 4 sections. 1 and 2 are conversations. 3 and 4 are lectures. Conversations are slower, clearer. Lectures are faster, more formal.
Section 1 is a booking or an arrangement. Easy vocabulary, easy accents. You hear it and think this is simple. Section 2 gets harder.
Section 2 might be a tour guide talking about a place, or someone describing a service. More technical language, more varied accents.
Sections 3 and 4 are harder because you're used to conversations by then. Your brain gets lazy. Then suddenly it's a university lecture.
Section 3 is a conversation between students and a professor, or students discussing an assignment. More formal vocabulary than 1 and 2.
Section 4 is a monologue. A professor giving a lecture. This is the hardest because there's no dialogue to help you understand context.
People typically do well on 1 and 2. Mess up 3. Then 4 is just survival mode. But if you know that pattern, you can prepare mentally.
Practice sections 3 and 4 more. That's where your score goes up or down.
And listen to lectures on YouTube, TED Talks, university lectures. Get your brain used to that format.
Speaking is what people fear most, but it's actually the easiest section to improve because you control it completely.
The examiner is not judging you as a person. They're checking 4 things: fluency, vocabulary range, grammar accuracy, pronunciation.
Fluency means you keep talking. You don't pause for 5 seconds thinking of words. If you need to pause, pause. But keep your speech going.
And if you make a mistake, don't stop and correct yourself. Keep going. Fix it in the next sentence if you want. Examiners care about flow.
Vocabulary range means use varied words. Don't say good 5 times. Say great, wonderful, impressive, amazing, excellent. Show different vocabulary.
Grammar accuracy is not perfection, it's control. You use different tenses correctly: past, present, future. You build complex sentences when appropriate.
Pronunciation doesn't mean perfect accent. It means clear. People understand you. You say the words correctly. Stress on the right syllable.
You're not being judged on how American or British you sound. You're being judged on clarity and intelligibility.
Speaking is 3 parts. Part 1 is about you. Hobbies, family, work, studies. Simple questions. You talk for about 2 minutes total.
Part 2 is important. You get a topic card. You have 1 minute to prepare. Then you speak for 1 to 2 minutes without interruption.
The card might say, describe a person you know, or a place you visited, or a skill you've learned. You need to prepare stories.
And here's the thing. The story doesn't have to be true. You've read about someone. You've heard about a place. You can talk about that.
Part 3 is discussion. Questions related to Part 2. But more general, more philosophical. You debate, you explain, you defend your ideas.
Most of speaking is preparation. You prepare stories, you prepare opinions, you prepare examples, then in the test, you deliver what you've prepared.
Like, the examiner asks about technology. If you've prepared a story about learning to code or using an app, it flows. You're not thinking.
People try to wing it, improvise everything, then they stutter and lose fluency points. Better to have material ready.
You don't memorize a script word by word. That sounds fake. You memorize the key points, the story structure, then deliver it naturally.
Have examples ready for common topics: technology, education, environment, travel, family, hobbies. If you prepare these, you're ready for anything.
Practice speaking with a partner if you can, or record yourself. Listen back, hear your pauses, your repeated words, your pronunciation issues.
So, here's what we actually recommend. Don't study the whole test equally. Find your weakest section. That's where you spend 70% of your time.
If speaking terrifies you, spend 45 minutes a day on speaking, not 15 minutes on each section. Target your weakness.
And find the specific gap. Is it vocabulary, pronunciation, fluency? Different problems need different solutions.
If it's vocabulary, use word families. Learn words with different forms. Learn, learning, learned, learner. 1 word becomes 5.
If it's pronunciation, record yourself. Listen to native speakers. Shadow them. Say the words out loud. That's how your mouth learns.
If it's fluency, don't write essays and read them. Speak without writing. Let your brain struggle. That's how you get faster.
If it's reading speed, do timed drills. Read passages, beat the clock. Your speed will improve with practice.
If it's writing structure, write a lot. Do essay after essay. Get feedback. You'll learn the patterns.
Be honest about your gaps. Everyone has them. Find yours. Fix that. That's where your score goes up.
The timeline matters. 6 weeks is tight but doable if you're already intermediate. 4 weeks is tight if you're beginner.
First week, take a practice test. Full test under timed conditions. Know your baseline. Which section is worst? That tells you where to invest.
Weeks 2 through 4. Target your weakness daily. Maybe 4 out of 5 study sessions on your weak section. 1 for strong sections.
Weeks 5 and 6 do full practice tests. Timed every other day. See how you're progressing. Identify remaining gaps.
The last week before the test, practice speaking and listening only. Reading and writing take mental energy. You want fresh for those.
Also, immerse yourself. Watch English videos. Listen to English podcasts. Read English news. You're soaking your brain in the language.
That's passive learning. Active learning is the homework. Passive learning is the background. Both matter.
Study consistently. 30 minutes a day is better than 3 hours, 1 day a week. Your brain learns through repetition, not marathon sessions.
Common mistake 1. People study vocabulary lists. Random words. That doesn't help because you don't remember them.
Instead, learn words in context. Use them in sentences, especially word families, adjectives, adverbs, nouns from the same root.
Common mistake 2. People focus only on academic topics. But IELTS is about everyday life and current events too.
You might need to discuss technology, environment, education, work, tourism, media, health, relationships, sports. Vocabulary for all of them.
Common mistake 3. People don't do enough practice tests. They study theory. Then test day comes and the format surprises them.
Practice tests are everything. Do them timed, under exam conditions. That's how you learn the real game, not from a textbook.
Common mistake 4. People study alone without feedback. Writing needs an eye from someone who knows IELTS. Speaking needs a listener.
If you can find a teacher or a study partner who'll give you feedback, that's gold. You learn much faster.
And here's something people don't talk about. Test day mentality. You can be prepared and still panic. You need confidence.
That comes from doing the work. Knowing you've practiced, you've done 100 practice questions in reading. You know your speed.
You've done 20 speaking tests. You know what to expect. You're not shocked. You're prepared.
The other thing is sleep. People cram the night before. Don't do that. Sleep 8 hours. Your brain works better rested.
And eat something before the test. Not sugar, protein and carbs. Something that lasts. Your brain needs fuel.
For speaking, smile. Seriously. Your voice is different when you smile. You sound friendlier, more confident. It helps.
Manage time. For reading, 15 minutes per passage. For writing, 15 on task 1, 30 on task 2, 5 to check.
For listening and speaking, just be ready. You've practiced. You know what to expect. Trust your preparation.
This is what we break down on English That Works. Real strategies, real examples, everything from vocabulary to psychology.
We've got episodes on reading speed, writing structures, listening focus, speaking fluency, deep dives on every section and every skill.
If you're taking the IELTS, subscribe. Get episodes tailored to your needs. You'll have a strategy. You won't just study. You'll prepare.
This is Claire and David. Thanks for sticking with us. Good luck on your IELTS. You've got this.